Right. We will be starting in about 10 seconds here. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and contact. Well, welcome to the FX Street session here, Nailing FX. We are live in the US session. This is Andrew Hahn here. And you can reach me at andrew@tradewithufos.com. It's January 28th in this Thursday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are in the world. But welcome to this session. Before we get started, there is a disclaimer at the top. If you could just read through that as it scrolls through. And as you're reading through that as well, if you do want to sign up for our free membership, just go to www.tradewithufos.com/Andrew and just enter your name and email address, and we'll keep you up to date with what's going on with Trade with UFOs, as well as the many things that we have going on every week. And what we are looking to do this coming weekend is, starting on Saturday until really next Friday, we have an online workshop which covers over 7 days, 2 hours per day. Schedule is basically 8 to 11 a.m. Eastern. And we will go through our Forex class, basically, and you'll have access to our auto UFOs and our auto climate, which will be activated complimentary, and where you will have the opportunity to use them for 3 months so that you're able to practice and practice and practice. Okay. With that, let us go to the markets proper as well. We just had GDP numbers come out here. Just looking at the economic calendar, it was like 4%, as expected. The markets are, slightly up on that news. Aussie dollar, for example, is moved up. Gold has moved up. So some numbers coming out there. Dollar index has dropped somewhat, just slightly. And here we are on the day, just to start with our daily charts as I normally do. We have had some bullish confirmation action even today. So yesterday it was kind of unconfirmed, but today we are now confirmed for a market climate that is pointing up. So there is still interest in the US dollar, and I think that this move here is just it's just a little move on the day, and we'll see if by the end of the day we still have this selling pressure, just kind of like what we had here. We had a bit of a doji forming here. Are we going to have a similar doji forming here? And we may find that we have a little bit of a pullback before moving higher. But as you can see here, we broke that downtrend back in early January and have kind of moved our way up. And so I'm just going to remove this downtrend line now, just so that we can see, right, with a little bit more clarity, what is currently in front of us. So we have a critical high here from that was set in at the third week of December here, and we are kind of moving our, kind of wiggling our way up, right? So we have this new high here, we have a higher low here, and we really need to see, right, this next move, either head up through towards 92, or we're going to move to the downside, and we may just find ourselves just bouncing off this uptrend line. It's been holding pretty well over the last few days, right? We had some moves off of those lows up to the upside, but we failed to clear that prior high here. But until we really come back down to these levels, we're not going to continue that downtrend, right? We still have some upward momentum, even though we have a bit of a pause today. But that happens, right? That's the market goes up and down all the time. So not surprising that we are getting a little bit of a pause, as we had yesterday quite a strong move higher, and we did kind of test that high today, and we'll see how the day ends, right? We'll just have to see how the day ends. But here at Trade with UFOs, this is one of our technologies that we have is the auto climate here. The other being auto UFOs. I'll just turn those on for you. And what the auto UFOs does is identify where the seller is interested in coming in at, right? The price range at which we from our algorithm, we're able to identify those areas where sellers are wanting to come in at, and also those areas where buyers are interested in coming in at, right? So this is applied on any time frame here. I'm just demonstrating on the daily time frame, but if you go to lower time frames, if you're an intraday trader and are interested in identifying those more intraday areas of buying interest and selling interest, those ranges, then the auto UFOs identify those areas as well, okay, on those lower time frames. So the way to kind of look at that or think about that is, where are those smaller pockets, right, of orders, where we expect those orders to come in at, right? And so this is where we see those coming in at, okay? So those are two technologies that we have available to our subscribers, as well as those who take our courses, okay? So there's a little bit of a advert there, okay? But let me just turn those off, okay? But what do we have? Yeah, what do we have going on here today? What's of interest? In the past, we have looked at Aussie dollar, so let's just take a look at what kind of played out from the last time that we were here, right? So we had identified some areas on really the lower time frame where price was expected to rebound, right? And so clearly where price had come into this area, cleared out those orders, filled those orders really, then we can remove those lines now. Okay, so we had either expectations to move up higher, or it could have also moved lower, and clearly it's moved lower and found some support down at this area of buy UFOs. Okay, so we broke this uptrend, and we also broke this this triangle that was forming. Okay, and so we can remove that now. Okay, move this lines. Okay. Because all of those orders, that area of interest, right, where orders had been filled before, right, there was no more interest in buying here. Okay, so we're going to remove that. And we see down here, there is still that's where price had come in and supported, right, the buying of Aussie dollar. So now we have this upward pressure, okay, that had come in today, and again we'll see how the markets play out, right, as we get through this trading day. Okay, all right. So what really is going on in the market here? Okay, in the Aussie dollar is, well, we've just seen this whole strong move to the upside, and prices are slowly moving lower and lower and lower, at least on the daily. So I get a lot of people asking me, all right, how do we look at these markets? How do we kind of navigate around these markets, and especially for those of you who are new to currencies, who are new to, say, FX Street, and maybe new to UFOs. We do get a lot of questions saying, hey, okay, how do we really use these auto UFOs, and auto climate to our advantage, right? I mean, that's why people are coming to us. How do people take advantage of the technology? How does it help them in their decision making process, right? And so one of the things that we always talk about and go through is asking the question, well, what is the market environment, right? What's the climate? And so the auto climate answers that question, right? Immediately, right? You can see that on this daily time frame, the market environment is to the downside, right? And overall, we've seen that. We had a long period of upward buying interest, and kind of paused, right? As kind of choppy over the last, since the beginning of the year, right? Aussie dollars kind of flattened out and started to move lower. And yesterday we really saw that move to the downside, right? And also the spike in price today, kind of reaching down to these lows. And so what that has done is really confirmed by the end of the day, right? If we see that this dot here is red, then we have a confirmed climate that is biased to the downside. And so what that tells us is that we need to be interested in looking for selling opportunities, right? And so naturally it comes to the question comes is, okay, if I'm going to be selling the Aussie dollars, then where do I sell, right? And of course we would prefer to be selling up at these areas up here where price has tested before. So then the question comes, all right, well, where do I want to sell at, and where has the market want to show an interest in selling, right? So up until yesterday, the market hadn't been interested in buying, really, because you need to have buyers, right, in order to sell to. So the buyers were not willing to go above this price here, 77.67, right? And so is there any interest in sellers selling higher? Of course there is, right? Of course any seller will want to sell at a high price, right? But this was the maximum price yesterday, right, which is lower than the prices on previous days, where the buyers are willing to buy not higher than this point here, right? If there were buyers who were willing to buy up higher, then they would have, right, yesterday at least. And so currently what we see is there has been buying interest, because buyers have been willing to buy at higher prices here, but are they willing to buy up here? Well, let's see if there are any price opportunities there, right? So we can go down, we can just turn on the audio UFOs here. And so this whole area is where we definitely have sellers are interested in here. And we'll see if, where are some of the buyers interested in could be interested in buying it. We can go down to a lower time frame. Okay. And we can see here that if we really look at this area at the top where sellers had been willing to sell before, then if they're able to, if the buyers are willing to buy up to this price, then that's where the sellers would be waiting to look to sell to those buyers. Okay, so let me just highlight that in a different color here. Okay, just so we can see things a little bit more clearly. And I'm just going to highlight this whole area here as well, because that's where price had turned, and it's the closest price. So I'm just going to highlight that range here and kind of dim this one out. But definitely down at this area, that's where buyers would really be interested in buying it, because it has been such a low price. And we do have indications here of buyers interested in trying to get down to that level, but not being able to do that since December, right? The end of December last year. So if you're a if you're a trader who is you need to be patient, right, with these markets, and so if you're looking to go with the overall trend, right, then this is what how you could use the audio UFOs, right, in identifying these areas where sellers are likely to come in. Here is where buyers had been looking to come in and buy this market. And so we can have a scenario where potentially, prices will come up here, and then with the expectation prices will continue lower. Will it go up to this level or a little bit lower? We will remain to be seen. But yeah, this is one scenario, right? Now, does it have to go up to this area? No. That's only if the market wants to go up to this area. That's where we can prepare, right, to sell the Aussie dollar. But we have to be patient, right? And it could take a couple of days. Definitely, it's going to take more than one move, right, to get up there. Unless you do get stronger moves, such as we've seen here earlier in January. It's not impossible to have strong moves like that to get us closer to the area that we're interested in selling, right? But it could take longer, right? We can see here this took many 4-hour periods, right, in order to get up to this area here. So the other thing we need to do is and learn in trading is to be patient as well, right? And that's part of trading, right? Is to not just have your fundamental view or your technical view, but it's also to be patient, right? And also to manage your risk, right, as you move into these various markets, right? So that's the Aussie dollar, right? And could probably expect that New Zealand dollars could be similar. And here we see this is some of the scenarios that we identified for New Zealand dollar a couple of weeks back. Right? And so this is where price actually kind of came down, kind of oscillated a little bit, came up to this, kind of broke these previous highs, came up to this area that we identified here, and then subsequently had moved down and is now supported at this level, which is what it's rebounding at, right? So price will do what it's going to do. Right? Price will do what it's going to do, and will it come down to this level down here? Well, we will see. We'll see next week, won't we? In the meantime, I'm going to remove these old lines here. Okay, because they're no longer valid, and I'll shift this one up here. Okay, I'll remove this, and I'll repurpose that. So this one we can move down here. Right. So, okay. And we've got some support coming in here, resistance up here, and let's see what the UFOs are telling us. that we've got some old resistance up here, and looks like we've got a new area of resistance right here. Okay, and I'm going to dim this one out because I want to this here. Okay, and we're going to highlight this one here. Okay, so if price comes up to this area of sell UFOs, then we want to be prepared for that. This is where we had our buy UFOs come in. Okay, and we still have this triangle now. It's a little wider, right? It's a little wider, but we will see how that one plays out as well. Okay, and this is a possible trajectory. Let's come up to here. And maybe we want to rebound for a while, right? Who knows? Okay. All right. So price will do whatever it wants to do, right? This is New Zealand dollar. It kind of works in waves, right? Right. This is kind of how the New Zealand dollar worked itself out here. See? So how will, New Zealand dollar react tomorrow and going forward? Price will do what it's going to do. Okay, we can only plan our trades and be ready for them, right? So if you want to be long here, if you want to you could do a bit of a breakout. It's not too late to do a bit of a breakout on New Zealand dollar to the upside. But just remember, right, that's going to be, with the current trend, right? So it should give you some upward moves, but is it going to go higher than that? It needs to clear this high, right? Which is really these highs, and also this final high here. So until it does that, we just got to be mindful, right? That this, while we've had an overall uptrend, the recent experience in the New Zealand dollar has been to the downside. Okay, so until it really breaks these highs here in this trend line, then we can't really expect New Zealand dollar to go higher, right? So again, if you're looking to get more than there's probably about a 1, 2, maybe a 3 to 1 sort of trade. If expecting more than that, then you can plan for it. You can put your trades in to handle that. But until it breaks these highs, you're not really going to go anywhere there. Okay. All right. And also we just also notice, at least on the just go back to the daily here. Okay, we have had an uptrend, in this last week, right? But we had this strong move down here, which kind of put that uptrend into doubt. We have also had this pushing to the low side, but again, we can't really have a continuation of a downtrend unless really this low is broken, right? Because we have had this sort of move lower, move higher, move lower, but we haven't seen this low, right, break for a continuation of that downward move. And so with this pause here in price, can the market really push higher, right, as this bar is indicating? But again, we'll see how this ends today. Is it going to remain in this sort of bullish stance where it's been able to push price up to the level that's in now, or is it going to be able to continue higher, right? Needs to continue higher if it's going to continue the New Zealand dollar up. Otherwise, you know, we could ding dong around here for a little bit longer. Okay. All right. So looking at euro. So again, it's kind of you know, pausing, right? It's not clearly moving up. It's not clearly moving down. It's really just oscillating. So if we're going to have any expectations of any sort of clear moves to the upside or downside, then again we need to see, you know, these sorts of highs, right, being broken, right? These highs here, and probably these highs here, you know. So again, we probably have a bit of a triangle forming, right? But it looks bearish, right? We've had these lower lows, had to push the downside, more of an inside day today. Auto climate is confirmed to the downside, right? And so really we want to be looking for those opportunities to sell at, and this looks like one here. Okay, and again we can look on the auto UFOs to help us out there. It's a lot wider because of this candle here, and you see it is responding here. Okay, but it can push up through this area to test that downtrend line, and just need to adjust that a little bit. Okay, we can have one little violation there, but as long as we connect these highs here, then we should be good. Okay, and then we have this area down here close to that round number of 1.2 even. That's definitely going to be a key psychological level that people are looking at, as well as you know, as this area here, 2175, if I can call it that. It's probably another key area that folks are interested in. You know, if not the round number around 122 even. Okay, so yeah, so even though we had this GDP number, we haven't seen a lot of action here, right? But maybe in the equity markets, which open in a couple of minutes, you know, we may see some action on that side. And if that translates into the currency markets, then we'll also start to see that. Okay. See what's been going on with pound. Okay, pound has continued zigzag up. Okay, so again, we can draw this zigzag line here. Again, just to kind of visually help us see how price has been respecting that line, if it has. I haven't really been able to reach down to that area, so until it touches this trend line, and maybe what we need to do is maybe it's kind of moved slightly up to this area. Okay, let me just see how this has responded. Okay, to this bottom here. So it's really this trend line here that has given a little bit more support, okay, to this upward move. So I could probably expect until price chews through this unfilled sell orders up here, then we're probably gonna just ding dong around in this upward sloping triangle, right? So it will continue to do that until it basically doesn't. Okay. Let's keep that here. Just that up here. All right, and then we have an area that was tested previously for the UFOs. So that's all good. Okay, so that's the pound. And then we have here, now getting into the pairs. Some of the pairs here. So we do have an area of selling interest at the top here. So price wasn't able to push its way up. And so the question is, well, are we going to see that at all happening? Well, not until we clear this high here. So nothing to really look at on the Swiss at this time. A lot of mess here. A lot of mess here. It tends to have a little bit of mess. But here we see prices heading a little higher on the Aussie, so that could be the Aussie CAD. Let's just take a look at the Aussie. If that's what is moving price up, that must be the Canadian helping that Aussie CAD. And the Canadian being weaker. Okay, but the yen. So again, we had this bias to the upside, which was broken, right, which occurred over a long period of time. And this is where we can take a little closer, where we may want be interested to buy into. This fund here. Again, this is eliminated here. Eliminate that so it doesn't take too much away visually. Okay. So yeah, so Aussie yen has moved up. And yeah, more than likely the equities have been responding to the GDP number. And so if we just turn on the UFOs here. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. Now we just have to be patient here. Okay. Be patient here for price to head up to this area and still be part of this downtrend, right? So again, you know, we do have, you know, folks who ask us, well, okay, are we in uptrend or downtrend, you know? And to that, I kind of say, well, yeah, I mean, clearly we are in an uptrend, and we do have corrections, right? These are the impulse moves, right, that we see occurring. And what this is really just a correction, right? We have corrections all the time, right? Correction here, a bit of a slower correction here, right? Have a bit of a correction down here, but they're all happening in these waves, right? And so this really is no different, you know. This is, you know, until we see price action, right, that negates, you know, these expected trend line where we believe the prices will respond at, right? Until they exceed those areas, we just have to assume that it's going to be respected. So, and so if we kind of see here, this is where we have a bit of a double top. Price came lower, moves itself higher, and then start to move lower, right? Move almost to the low set in mid-January, but then it came up here and finally took out that low. And is moving higher. So what's the possibilities here? What's going on here? I mean, you could even see, right? We do have a downtrend, and you know, yes, this price exceeded this high here, and so, you know, how do we see this happening, right? Because at some point, at one point, we did have this drawn like this, right? So what happened here? What happened here? Kind of also saw this a little bit on the, you know, a little bit more clearly on the on gold, right? Kind of saw it. It had kind of popped up, right? A little higher in that case than a prior high. But then we also have this high here, right? Which it didn't exceed. So if you look at the highest point, right? We didn't, you know, break that, and we also haven't broken this, right? And you could argue, and we can be exact here, right? That we do actually have an even higher high up here. So these are all going to be points that you're going to have resistance at, right? Because they had, you know, those points had been set, you know, by the market. You know, somebody was willing to buy up at this point, right? Somebody was willing to sell at this point, you know, otherwise it wouldn't have been there, right? And so that information we kind of take into account here, right? That overall we have this move to the downside. You know, it is choppy, right? We clearly have confirmed in this sort of leg, right? That we do have selling interest below this this low here, right? Now, where has price responded to? Right, price responded really to this area here. I just here and extend this out. Okay, you can see how price has nicely responded at this point and also responded at this point to this area of buying, right? And so as price does, it always rebounds, right? It's going to have a pullback, right? Maybe, you know, we can measure out, you know, this way you can use your Fibonacci's, okay, to kind of measure out where these retracements are. So clearly we've moved beyond the 51% retracement. 61.8 is still a possibility, right? But if we want to go all the way up to the top, then we're talking about a different, deeper retracement number, which I won't go into here. But yeah, this is what's going on currently, right? Are we going to get a move clearly to the upside like this? We'll see. And with the expectation that price will maybe move to the downside here. Okay, we certainly hope so, right? Maybe it's going to go way up to this upper trend line, okay, and respond like that, and it'll still be in a downtrend, right? It'll still be in a downtrend. Okay, so probably just for today, we do have price moving higher. Let's check the euro side of things as well, the euro yen side of things, see how that's responding. And we did have this break, right, of this this range, right? It's a nice strong move down here. Probably touched this prior high, but we were kind of looking at something a little lower, didn't reach it, but that's all right. We'll have our chances. And so are we going to see any sort of selling pressure come in here? We've already seen a little bit of selling pressure, but is it going to be enough to move price lower? We don't know. Right, so all we can do is plan, right? Strategize, understand, you know, well, yeah, what is price doing? What does it need to do, right, to have a continued move higher? Well, it needs to clear this pivot high, right, because that's where price turned, and can basically ignore all this other stuff, right, because it doesn't relate to making a decision in this case. But we do have an uptrend line here and also here. Okay. All right. So that's euro yen. Okay, just kind of sidewards, move to the upside, and again, let's see if this area can hold. Right. Price did go deep into this area. Let's see if there are any other selling opportunities. I guess really the only thing that is really there is this company itself, right? So, okay. Now you can see as we go down into that whole area, right? You can see that there are areas of interest, right, where those price areas of interest are, and there's multiple layers, right? But if you don't want to go into the minutiae of things, you don't have to go to a 50-minute time frame. Right? You just stick to these higher time frames, and even though we don't see a lot of we don't see any red UFOs here, it doesn't mean that they're not there. It just means that the RMs and so forth who are looking at currencies, right? This is going to be where their interest is as price moves higher to look at selling here, but unless all of those sellers are taken out, we're not going to move higher, right? So there's a couple of decks of orders here that could be where prices, orders are going to be coming in at, right, at these two areas, right? So we just have to be mindful of that, prepared for that when it comes. But we also are supported here by some other UFOs, unfilled orders, all right, that we can lean on to give us that support, right? If needed. Okay, if price does come back down, it goes against us in our position, then depending how much we've risked, this could be an ideal way of getting that support, right? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to kind of wrap things up here, and so we've covered about four major pairs, the Euro yen as well, and so we do have this move to the upside, but I think overall, we do have some areas that need to be cleared if price is going to continue higher. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to end our time here. Thanks very much to FX Street for having me on FX Street. And if you do need to reach out to me again, let me just put up this sort of slides here. You can reach me at andrew@tradewithufos.com. Okay, well, thanks for having me, and we will see you again next week. Right? Take care.